Since you're on the scene there.
Hello.
No.
No, we just went out.
Hi, good to meet you. Good to meet you. Hello there.
Good start.
It says live.
Yeah, it'll be live.
Okay.
I don't sing before you can sit at that table.
Come on now. Somebody's sitting there. Straight.
I gotta create an account.
There he is. Good dog. He was going on to that. Oh. Oh, yeah. So we have four babies. And the other one is Juicy. And I gotta tell you that they live about 3 hours away. And then my one in Houston is Josh Houston. I think that's like 20 hours. They come home probably 2 years a year. So we tend to go there on Tuesdays. So we get up to 7. They're, this little group is like a, we just took his parents on
I
vacation.
feel like I should probably be down that way so that everyone they can see his face.
Why are you wearing that Ohio State?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Just for that. It was a free.
Especially since I'm.
But you're gonna refer to the Ohio State. Make sure you say it right.
She'll make sure.
We have a no friend. No.
Case must for that out of the depths of my soul.
Mike. Oh,
Could be making people busy.
that's the day he's born.
Does anybody have internet?
He's the first one to kiss her, and I'm cutting the cord. Anyway, she's got, my oldest has 3. And this is her.
You have access to You're gonna have to get used to each other.
I just sent, if you got email, somebody, not everybody, I just sent a link to the YouTube. Check it out, make sure you get it. Just somebody.
I haven't got any emails.
Well, you never get my emails.
And I don't either.
I know, they come back every time, and I email you every time.
I got it.
Did you get it?
I'm seeing if it's
Click the link and
working.
make sure that it's gonna go.
Hey, I did get it.
Yes,
You did get it?
That's because you said bye-bye.
That one time.
it's working.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I sent the link out to everybody, and if you can get on that link, you're gonna have to do 2 things.
Okay. And watch for comments.
Yeah, watch for comments.
Okay.
And, maybe we could have, if you wanna do that, Mark, could you run the camera for us? You don't have to do much, just.
Oh, just hold on.
Just hold on to it.
Oh, I should have brought
Should have brought their stand.
He's got a stand.
You might be able to stand it up somewhere.
Is this live?
This is live.
Oh.
Live.
Hello.
Show the wrong person.
Go slow, you don't want to make them dizzy.
Oh, sorry. Hello, folks. This is live. And your engineer is serious
You might
meeting.
scare 'em.
Serious meeting here. Need any money? He's the man.
Forget about me.
Just a little delay.
Oh, that's all right.
Woo.
Get a donut, everybody. If not, we're gonna have a lot of donuts to take home with us.
Yeah, let's move that thing in the middle.
There's a couple.
Yeah, it's enough delay. Okay, let's take all that off the.
Address not found. Deborah.
Address, actually, why?
A nice guy right there.
There are 2 R's.
I mean,
That's why.
I didn't mean it was your problem. I mean, that is your email problem, but I sure don't know what his problem is.
Now, how's the picture though?
Looks good. How's the picture?
Yours came in, but it came in.
I had, yeah, I turned it off.
So for whatever reason, they didn't spam it.
That's why.
I'm out of the house today.
There's all kinds of creamer. Please help yourself.
Okay.
Sugar free.
Did you get things, Tom?
Huh?
They moved recently.
Not yet. I thought we'd be on right now.
Oh, she would love it.
She needs a receipt.
Okay.
That's why. I have her new one though.
Yeah.
All right.
How'd you get?
She would like it.
Good.
I'm gonna let you explain about the visas. Yeah.
Closer.
You can read more over the books that are on this. For those two. Yeah, 800.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. You've got the camera situated, clearing out everything. Okay, it's so nice to see all of you here, and it's nice to see the people online. How many do we have, do you know?
There's 2 watching right
Okay,
now.
2 watching.
That's you and me.
It's supposed to be, I sent out the link, so, and you got the link, right? And some of you got the link. Everybody should have the link.
Two watching.
So, anyway, hopefully they'll join us in a little bit. Today, we're gonna go over visas is one of the main things. And, I'm gonna give you a little bit of itinerary, then I'm gonna do a devotion.
MasterCard, okay?
MasterCard? Oh, for the visa?
It's too early for
MasterCard for devotion.
It is very early.
Yeah.
Walk slowly.
Yeah. Talk slowly.
So warning.
Okay, we're gonna have to start over again. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start our meeting now. It's nice to see all of you. If you only knew what kind of a week I've had. My goodness. I was in geometry class. I'm teaching geometry, by the way, in high school. So my wife retired from teaching last year. I picked it up this year. And they're on the intercom, they will call you over and ask you a question or whatever. And so last Monday, they said, and I was so tired, and they said something on the intercom and I answered it. And the class just roared laughing. They said, they're not talking to you. This was an all school call. And so that's kind of how I feel today too. It's just kind of like Monday on Saturday. I said, okay. But anyway, just to briefly what we're going to go through today. I'm going to bring you up on visas. We don't all have to do our visas today. I mean, we just.
Yeah, phone call.
I missed the call, whatever. We don't all have to do our visas today. Tiffany's gonna go over how to do that. It's not very difficult to do your visas. And for some of you who'd like to have some help, we'll be here to help you do those today. But then the others, if you just need to go home and make sure you get them done the next day or two. I do have some people who do not have their passports in yet. And all of that is fine, except that we need to make sure today that all of the names on your airline tickets is exactly the same as on your passports. And also, I need to make sure that your birth dates are right. Okay, so we're probably gonna send out another email with all that information too. The reason why we need to quadruple check this, because it's really important that we get all that right. And so, and after I submit things to the travel agent and he gets them in his computer, I'm gonna send them out again. So please be patient and understand that this is really important, okay, that name has to be the same. And so that's what we'll be doing today a little bit, and then we'll bring you up on how much money you owe. So, and we can, when we start doing visas and talking about that, we'll go, you just come to me and Tony, and we'll kind of get things straightened out. We really need probably all of your money in very soon. I think December is a payment, and so we're paying for airline tickets here in just another week or so, and so we really do need your money. That's me think. That's about, and we got some Rob North news too, and I'm going to explain that to you too in just a few moments. But anyway, and you might have questions, I'm sure you do, so we'll try to answer all of them. We're really getting down to crunch time. It's not going to be that far. You got this in your mind, all along. It's going to be. We got a long time to get ready, and then all of a sudden you wake up and it's not a long time anymore. We're going to be going to Africa here really soon, and so I was hoping that our physician would be here, because she was going to share with you, but she had an emergency cesarean section going on this morning. That is not going to, she couldn't be here. So, but anyway, she's an incredible person. She's going to be in charge of all the medical stuff going on in our group. So we'll go over some of those things too in just a minute. All right, but first, I want to share with you in Isaiah, and this is one of my very favorite scriptures actually, and I just want to share an observation here. This is chapter 6. Everybody should be familiar with this. It says, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high and exalted, seated on a throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. And they were calling to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorpost and the threshold shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Woe to me, I cried, I am ruined. For I am a man with unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with live coals in his hand, and which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. Then I heard a voice from heaven, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, Here I am. Send me. He said, Go and tell this people." Let's think about that just for a second. Now,
God's calling. God's calling.
I'm going to leave it on because Rob might call North. So, but that was my son. Okay, so Isaiah. Now, you got to have a little bit of an idea of what's going on in Isaiah's life at this particular point. Things were going south very quick. And in the year, he starts out by saying, in the year of the death of the king. That was a terrible event that took place. And to be quite honest with you, with what was going on in the country, Isaiah was at the point where he's trying to figure out, what in the world do we do now? And I don't know if some of you have had that idea of, what in the world are we going to do now? But I've had that very much in the last few months. Now what are we going to do, you know? And sometimes you wake up and you say, now what am I going to do? And it's not a big deal because it's just little things. And sometimes you wake up and you think, what am I going to do now? Because it's not a good thing. When cancer comes, as some of you probably have experienced, when a loss of a job happens, when you retire like me, and I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. So, you know, I mean, we have those I don't know what I'm going to do moments in life. There's a couple of very interesting things about this scripture. The first is that he found himself approaching God with the, what am I going to do now moment, okay? Interestingly, God never answers his question. Did you notice that? God never answered the question. And to be quite honest with you, God never even addressed what Isaiah was asking. We don't have any recording of that happening. He found himself in the presence of God with unclean lips. And I think at that moment, Isaiah realized, it wasn't about, what am I going to do now? It's all about, what are you going to do in me? Because we don't have to worry about, what do I do now? We just need to worry about, what are you going to do in me? You see what I'm saying? It's so important for us to understand that. And the second thing of it is, God never asked Isaiah to do anything. You know that, right? Sometimes we have this idea that this was Isaiah's calling. It never was. God didn't say, Isaiah, will you go do this for me? But Isaiah realized, after God touched him, it wasn't about him anymore. It was all about the Lord. It's not about me. It's not about the trip to Africa. And we're going to probably be in some moments where we're going to say, okay, now what are we going to do? You know, if you've ever been on a mission trip, those times come. It's not about that at all. It's all about, Lord, what are you going to do through me? And to say, you know, sometimes people come to me and they say, oh, I just have this call. God wants me to go to this on this mission trip. Because I think that can happen, you know, and I've had that happen to me before. But you know, God isn't there directing every move that we make. But he is there saying, hey, I've got this thing going on, and who am I going to send? And we have said, okay, Lord, here I am. Why don't you just send me? Because I'm willing. I'll go. And that's where we are right now, you know. And we got this thing going on in our country, I know, and we get this thing from other people. What are you going there for? We got enough places to go ourselves here in America. But that's not what it's about. It's not about me. It's not about America. It's about, okay, God, here I am. Send me. I'll do whatever you want me to do. You kind of get it. You know, the Isaiah moment. It's just a bunch of us saying, okay, we got the opportunity, Lord. Here I am. Send me. And so if we can approach this trip realizing it's not about me, Because there are gonna be some things happen you're probably not gonna agree with, you're not gonna like, you're not gonna be comfortable with, or whatever, but you understand it's not about us anyway, isn't it? Isn't it just like life? That's why we say in mission trips, we gotta be flexible, you know? You can't make a big deal out of nothing. Yeah, you just go with it, you know, go with the flow, and enjoy every moment that God has given us as an opportunity. So that's what it's about. And if you approach it any other way but that, you're gonna be miserable. Yeah, you will. So let's pray. Our gracious God, we do thank you. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity that all of us have to be together, whether it's online or here in this room this morning. We thank you for the opportunity to do something that's way out of the box. To do something, Lord, where we have to utterly depend on you. That, Lord, you really do want to do something in us. First, Lord, you want to touch our lips. And we realize, Lord, that when we go and we do things like this, we're not going to Africa to change people's lives. We're going to Africa so you can change our life. And maybe somehow work through us to make a difference. So Lord Jesus, it's all yours. It's not ours. And we turn everything over to you. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. When we first went to Africa back in 2006, I had that moment sitting in the convention and hearing about the African trip, knowing that God just, for some reason he wanted me to go. And I told you the story and all that stuff. But to let you know that it wasn't anything that I anticipated. He did not, I wasn't there to go save the Africans. I wasn't there to go save the people who went on the trip. And I look back and I know without any question that a rendezvous had to take place with Joyce Temple. And God sent me all the way to Africa to meet a Brazilian. Didn't make any sense at all. But Joyce changed our district, our church, our district, and now working in world missions in Kansas City. Incredible. And I knew, but I didn't know, Didn't know. So I don't know, what's going to happen this time, but God has a plan. God has a plan.
Amen.
All right. So, what are we going to talk about? I don't have any idea.
What we're gonna do when we get
Rob
there.
tried to call me and then I couldn't get him. And some more coffee.
So he's the one who knows what we're doing?
Okay, so I'll just share with you what I know. Okay.
Help us.
And I'm not being critical at all when I talk. So I'm not being critical about anybody. I'm just telling you the facts. Oh, no, I was doing it. Okay. Rob North is the Working Witness Coordinator for African Nigerian University, and he's just a tremendous guy. I sent him an email like a month ago, and he said he was right in the middle of graduation, and will get back with me. Well, I sent him an email early this week, and I had a list of questions and stuff for him, and he just replied to me like 15 minutes ago. So, and I understand that things are busy on both sides, so I do have a little bit of information I can share, and maybe in a second moment I will see if I can get Rob back on the phone. And so let me share with you a few things I do know, and we'll go from there. Okay, when we'll leave, just going over things again, we leave Chicago And I gave all of you the itineraries. You should have a written copy of that itinerary someplace. If not, let me know. And I sent it to you email. I think I emailed all that to you, and you have a copy of that. Everybody is responsible to be at the airport 3 hours before, no later, okay? And give yourself time to get there, considering Chicago traffic, okay?
And weather.
And weather. Everything is playing, and pray real hard. Well, it's very unusual for O'Hara to be closed, so, I mean, I think it'll be fine. But anyway, everybody's responsible to getting there. Now, we will meet at check-in 3 hours before, which is a little early, but we want to give everybody, you just need to be there 3 hours before at the check-in area. And we're going to begin checking in as soon as possible at the airline, or you will be at Terminal 5.
So that's where we meet, is at Terminal 5?
Terminal 5, check-in,
Check.
okay,
What
at
time
the,
is that?
and this is Chicago time, which is in
Right,
Central
Central.
Time. Would you say?
What time in the morning was that?
What's that flight?
And 4:15 is the flight.
4:50.
Yeah, 4:15.
So that's when it's.
Yeah, that will always be,
Yes.
So 4:15 a.m. in the
PM.
morning?
No,
Oh,
PM. This is
4:15.
PM.
But you need to be there 3 hours.
3 hours before, okay? And at, what's the airline, Lufthansa, I can't ever say that. Lufthansa.
Huh?
Airlines, check-in.
15,
Okay.
no later.
Terminal 5 is international terminal. That's their designated international terminal. You'll be in Terminal 5. They don't fly international, any other terminals in O'Hara except
Okay.
5, okay? Make sure you have your passports, and make sure you have your visas. You will not be able to go anywhere or do anything without passports and visas, okay? So that's really important. I will check multiple times with people, do you have your passport? I get on your nerves, I'm sorry. But make sure you bring it with you. Because if you go to the airport and you don't have it, you're not gonna go. We will go the day before, the night before probably, and spend the night. And that, I would recommend that, if possibly can. Okay, remember too, for those of you who are flying from someplace else, which might happen, I think you guys
We
were
are.
thinking about doing that.
We have to.
Yes. The problem is, we are allowed, as of right now, what the travel agent said, we're allowed 2 bags
Each.
each. Okay, each. The problem is, if you're flying internet, or if you're flying within the United States to get there, they're going to only allow you 1 bag. So you have to take that into consideration. You're not flying. But so for example, if you're in Florida, you need to fly to Chicago.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're not gonna be able to carry 2 bags from Florida to Chicago without paying extra.
Yeah,
So
we pay.
if you have to pay extra, you just pay extra if you need that. But everybody is allowed 2 bags. And at this point, they're 50 pounds, unless I tell you different. 2 50-pound bags.
I just had thought that if I have all those soccer balls and I put them in your bag, in a my bag, that's probably gonna be over 50 pounds between the weight of the balls and the bag.
Well, I think that you can, okay, so we do have.
Deflate
we
'em.
have some things that, when we say that you have 2 bags each, the reason that is good news is so you can, it's not so you can carry more clothes, it's so you can carry more stuff for the trip, okay? So, we're gonna probably limit you to like 1 bag each, and then the other bag will be for stuff we need to bring. And between now and then, we're gonna divvy some stuff up, because I know that we have shirts, we have soccer balls. John, what's John's last name, Tony? John
You'll.
Yule, yeah, John Yule. John Yule is wanting shoes, the shoe that grows. So we're gonna be bringing, we got a bunch of shoes that we're gonna be taking to John Yule, and I think John wanted the soccer
Well,
balls. I mean, it's.
yeah, John was with us in just to kind of tell you all this quick little story, John was with us and, you know, he works with all the kids in the refugee camp, and so we asked him, well, you know, the kids have balls to play with? Well, no, they really don't have any soccer balls, so I said to the church, let's buy these kids soccer balls. So what I ended up with was a 46 huge pound box of soccer balls from Amazon, and found out that it was gonna be well over $1,000 to ship that to Uganda, which I had no idea it would be anywhere near that much, but we're talking, you know, almost $1,100 to ship this box to Uganda. So, I have all of these soccer balls, and Tom and I was talking if we could, I'm gonna try and get another suitcase and pack it full. But if some of you would like to put a soccer ball or two in your suitcase, I have a whole box of them in my car.
You can take that box and just put tape on it and use it.
Well,
as
that's
a
what we
suitcase.
thought, but this box is
Might be
big.
too big, it has to fit the dimensions of a suitcase.
This is big. The box is like 29 inches high and 25 inches square. So this is a big box.
And like if you had like a soft-sided luggage or a large duffel, that wouldn't weigh as much as a lot of traditional luggage
That's
too.
what we did for the Amazon.
Right.
We had, what was it, soccer balls and all kinds of stuff, and the duffel bag was way cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Cause you could just shove them in there and
A
deflate
duffel,
'em.
well, yeah, that's what I was just thinking about going, we were talking about that, just going to Goodwill or something and buying an old suitcase, didn't really care about filling it full of
Yeah,
soccer
get an
balls.
old
You might need
duffel
two
bag.
of them, two suitcases, but somebody else will just have to check it.
Okay, all right.
And
I'll
then,
work it out.
what we'll do is, when you have stuff, like if you have, like, 3 suitcases, for example, just bring them with you, we'll divvy them up at the airport if we need to.
Okay.
And if we can divvy it up beforehand, we'll do that too, okay?
Are they
So we'll make sure
deflated?
everything's packed.
They're deflated and, yeah, they're all ready to go in that box, deflated, there's a pump in there and everything, and so, you know, I just
Yeah.
I never imagined that it would cost that much to try and ship these things.
I'll
Never
make you a
even-
deal. I'll take 2 balls if you take 2 shirts.
Yes. Well,
We
we're gonna
have,
get to
we
the-
have shirts that
We
need
got
to go,
shirts
so.
too that
Yeah.
we need to divvy up too. And then we also
I'll
have
take you
some
both,
things
take
from
you
the
both.
general church that I need to figure out what, so we got a lot of things to divvy up, so we can do that. And if you wanna take some shirts and some balls today, that's fine.
Okay,
But, however you wanna do it, I really don't care. But if we do have extra bags, like we may have 3 or 4 bags, and we'll just bring them in and we'll have to divvy them up at the airport. But we'll let you know beforehand and make sure all that's worked out with you with the email.
With the weight of the luggage, do we have any idea if we would be over the limit, what the charge would be? Or
you
would they
don't want to
just
be over the
totally
limit.
Yeah,
disallow?
you don't wanna be able to limit it. It's like
Well, I
100
know.
Probably
Like a
$100,
box
I'd
of
say. I
pounds,
didn't look,
50,
but
20
usually
pounds.
they charge
So it'd
more
be
for
cheaper
overweight
just
than
to
they do
check a
for
second
an extra bag.
Another bag.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Well, I wasn't sure if they'd ask for the money or if they would just totally disallow.
No, they're asking for the money.
that.
You can take stuff out, clothes-wise,
You
you
can-
can start putting it on.
Yeah,
there's no-
but get yourself a little scales and weigh your
No, I know.
suitcase.
I've done
I was
that.
just
So,
curious as to
Yeah,
that.
make sure you have all that taken care
Yeah.
of, and we got plenty of space in bags, you don't ever have to be overweight in this. And I doubt that everybody's gonna have 2 bags, I don't think we're gonna have that much to take, but we'll have some things to take. And you'll have some supplies, painting like we talked about before, and take a few tools and gloves and whatnot. Okay, so what,
The comedy line for sure. We
So
could
are
go.
we gonna have a meeting for, I have tons of suitcases, cause I buy them and for this very purpose. And then I just don't worry, don't worry about it. Are we gonna have another meeting and just pack them all beforehand? Cause like, those of us that, if we end up driving, I'm not carrying a whole bunch of suitcases in the airport, you know?
Right.
So if we can have
understand that,
another
but,
meeting beforehand and just have all suitcases.
we can do that in January, probably, if we wanna do that in January. And well, we need to see how much we actually have first, and I won't know that. The general church, I think, has some things, so I need to check that out. And, so I'm not sure how much we're really going to have, so I'll get back with everybody, and then we can divvy them up later at a different meeting.
I also have cases and cases full of flip-flops that I was gonna
Okay,
take
yes,
to
that's
another
a-
place. Do you want them?
Yes. Absolutely.
How many you want?
How many you got?
Oh,
We got others, red
Tons.
shirts.
Okay,
I mean, they're all sizes. I've got
Yes.
kids,
now,
adults.
we were
But they're
gonna,
Still
the,
have
just
those.
doesn't matter.
you know,
They-
flip-flops that I was taking to Haiti
Yeah,
and
no problem.
haven't been back,
Yeah,
so.
no problem. I'll get with you,
Okay.
and we'll decide what to do with that.
all right.
All right, anybody else? on airplanes. On your flight, make sure you might wanna bring something so you can sleep, cause you know, traveling is just gonna be rough because you're gonna be traveling for a long time. And so if you can sleep on the airplane, it'll really be helpful.
We're going to Frankfurt first,
Yes.
and how long will we be there?
What is it?
Oh.
It's not very long, 3 hours?
Well, if we arrive at 7:25
3 hours.
AM
Four
and then
hours.
we leave at 11:25 AM
You
for
know,
Nairobi.
Yeah,
so-
4 hours. I just do 4
And
hours,
then
4
that's
hours.
about 7-hour trip from Nairobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Mr. South
It's
African.
not that bad, really. I mean, it's just boring. Just take something to read, take your headphones, whatever.
Give me the
whatever.
window.
Yes. Okay, how many of you use,
CPAP?
CPAP?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
My dad.
He does, okay. We're gonna
I
get
have a friend that does.
water distiller, because you cannot buy distilled water, and we'll take it with us, so we can distill our own water. So he doesn't have to worry about it, just so you know that.
If it was up to him, he just wouldn't take it, but
Oh,
this person won't let that happen.
okay, yeah, but tell him to take it, because we will get, and they don't have any way to get distilled water there. All right.
Well, how do they charge, how do they take care of the batteries?
The who?
The batteries, car batteries?
Batteries.
Oh, I had no clue.
Because
Batteries.
they would use the store water for that. They had to fill them up.
Don't know about that. I just know what Rob said, you have a hard time finding distilled water in the marketplace.
And we,
What's the dehumidifier, is that distilled water?
I think so, it's
Oh,
regular.
really?
Oh, dehumidifiers?
Different?
Regular
Um,
water.
They probably don't have dehumidifiers.
There's no filter.
it's too dry there for
And there's
dehumidifiers.
It's
just
dry, they're not gonna
bacteria,
have
so you don't know.
dehumidifier there.
It's summer there, won't it? And
Weather in Nairobi, we'll go over a couple things. Weather in Nairobi is gonna be very pleasant. It's gonna be like Southern California. And it'll get cool at nights, unless it's just having something unusual, and it'll be mild. Unless they've changed, we did not have air conditioning last time, but it wasn't a problem at all. It was just very, very easy to sleep. Very secure, you don't have to worry about security at African Nazarene University. And also you don't have to worry about mosquitoes at African Nazarene University because the elevation is so high that they don't survive, okay? So I probably saw maybe 1 or 2 mosquitoes. And so malaria is not around African Nazarene University. When you go on the safari, you may want to, it's all up to you whether you take the malaria drugs or not. So you will need to go to your physician and tell him what you're doing so he can prescribe to you the right one for that area. And then vaccines, again, there's no yellow fever where we're going, at like Rob, North Carolina. But if you feel like you need the yellow fever, that's fine too, just go get it from your physician. They have been very difficult to find, and I know there was a shortage for a while. So, so this is gonna all be up to you, the vaccines. The governments of the United States and the governments of Kenya do not require any vaccines to enter or leave that country from the United States or Germany back and forth, okay? Now, yes, if you were visiting one of the other countries in Africa and crossing the border, you would have to have certain vaccines possibly to get back in or possibly to go home, but we're not doing that. We're going to be going from the United States, Germany to Kenya, and from those 3 areas, there's no vaccinations required to travel from one to the other. Let me think about anything else in that way. I can't think of anything. But make sure you go to your doctor. Make sure you have all your meds. You're not going to probably be able to get, there's a good chance if you forget your medication, you may not be able to get them when we get there. So you want to make sure, absolutely, you have all the medications you need. Other things in your suitcase. and ask Rob if there's anything that, and he hasn't shared that with me yet, that he would like for us to bring for him and his family and so on and so forth. So there might be things that, you know, some of the people there would like to have in the way of American foods or whatever. When you pack your suitcase, be very careful. Do not keep everything, all of your medicines, all of your products sealed in the original wrappers. Okay. I know that there was one working witness trip before me. I think it was Kevin that was telling me that somebody decided to take some powdered sugar and to save room, they put it. That's a good idea.
And they had some straws along as well.
I would recommend that if you have a prescription that you need to take on a daily basis, do not pack it
No,
in your
do
checked
not.
bag. Put it
In
in
your
in
carry-on.
the bottle, and you need
Not
to
carry-on,
have
but-
yeah. put
And
in
it
your
has to have your
carry-on.
name on it and everything.
Yeah.
Normally, they don't check that stuff, but they could, you know, and if they go through your bag and pull it out and they say, what is this? You can say it's my prescription medication. But make sure that you have the prescription medications on there. And if you want to take some Tylenol or ibuprofen, just keep it in the container, okay, that it came in. Don't put them in like a little pill box.
Right.
You know, you want to keep all that in containers while you travel, especially out of the country. Yeah. All right. Now, obviously, your carry-ons you can't have liquids and all that stuff unless they meet the criteria. Okay, so be very careful, and they will confiscate them and throw them away. And you don't want to bring any like peanut butter or anything in your carry-on; they'll throw it away, pretty much. So be very careful what you bring, and also your batteries, your the one that the lithium batteries, even like that. You're going to have to make sure that you carry those on. Do not put those in your checked bags. Okay. They're not allowed in checked bags.
They do let you carry a lithium battery on.
They do let you carry, but you cannot be in it cannot. Yeah, that battery right there is fine. Well, your phones have lithium batteries in them. And so.
Oh, this is okay. This.
Yeah, that's okay, but you're not supposed to put those in your checked bags. Now, I have before by accident, and they never say anything. They're not supposed to go in your checked bags.
Check bags.
Checked bags. You have to
But you
carry.
can on your
You
carry.
have-
carry-on.
Yeah, so
Like
like,
my camera.
Your camera, you
I got
have
my
to
battery.
carry.
what's her name? Our hairdresser had clippers to go to Amazon. She had to take the battery out of her clippers and put it in her carry-on.
Okay,
Before
carry
she
on.
was
is good.
checked.
Well, that's
Okay.
good. That's great.
Yes, I mean, you can
I'd
take
rather
it,
have it.
and you just have to make sure that's not an airline policy, that is like a federal law policy.
Pressure,
TSA.
explosion.
Explosion,
Pressure.
Yeah,
yeah.
fine.
Pressure. The pressure is different
Inside. Yeah.
where your
Mhm.
check bags
Dog
are.
diet underneath.
Yeah, down in the bottom of the plane, that pressure.
So you cannot take lithium batteries in your check baggage. Okay,
I'm
so-
sorry, this is.
And then when you go through TSA, just ask them what you gotta take out. But sometimes they'll let you leave them in the bag, sometimes they won't. All computers you have to take out, obviously.
Oh,
Everything is,
and the computer, you said, the
the
laptop?
computer, you just take it out and put it in a tray separate from your backpack. or
As
whatever.
a carry.
And,
I don't think I'm.
I lost my thought,
Laptop.
whatever. Oh, 220. Remember, everything is 220.
Will you have adapters? or-
You need, okay, let me explain to you the difference between an adapter and a converter, okay? An adapter is an adapter, so if I go and I have my computer, I get an adapter, plug it in, because my computer automatically converts everything to 220, so I can use either one. If you have a device, look at your power supply on that device, and it will say if it's able to either 110 or 220 to give both. That's is comparable. But if not, you do not want to use an adapter. Now we're going to get a converter, and if you want a converter, that's fine too. They're a lot more expensive. The converters will actually convert current from 220 to 110. You can plug anything in it. The problem with converters is that they are pretty limited on the amperage or wattage that it can handle. So, sometimes people will get a converter and plug in their curling iron or hair blower, and it doesn't work very well because they take a lot more current. So, my suggestion is, they make curling irons, they make hair blowers and those kind of things comparable to either 220 and 110. You just need to make sure you look. Darlene bought a straight iron that is good for a 110 or 220, and she has a hair blower that's good for 210 or 120.
And some of those automatically convert to what
They
they
do,
plugged
they
in.
do automatically, yeah, you just plug it in, they just convert it automatically.
Now, does their electric plug, is
It's
it
like
different
the
than ours?
European- It's like a European style.
Oh, okay, the prongs rather
And
than the
sometimes,
flat.
and they may have the three, depends if they have the ground now. And,
Okay,
but I don't know if Kenya will have the ground, the two prong will work fine, just the two prong.
okay.
So, and, but that just gives you an idea of that. Okay, make sure you take chargers with you for your phones and all that stuff. Okay, phones, you need to check with your provider in America. Now, I know that Verizon, our plan, I need to check, make sure it's in Kenya, but I think it is, where we can get free texting, okay? And probably that's what we'll do, we probably will do that and not make too many phone calls. The other thing you can do is you can get a SIM card once you get there and pop it in your phone and you'll be good. And you know, you can use your phone, just have to pay, you know, to use it. You'll have a Kenyan number actually. And then you always have Wi-Fi. You'll have limited Wi-Fi on campus. It works well as long as it's working, but sometimes it doesn't work. So things have not changed any since we were there last time. But you will have ways of communicating, okay? And you do have some options there. Currency, we can convert currency for you once we get there. There won't be any problem for you to do that. If you want to convert some of your currency before you go, you can do that. It was just a while back that Fifth Third probably offered the best conversion rates for currency, okay? They were the leaders back when last time we went to Brazil. And a lot of your banks, including Chase, you know, I go to Chase, but then Chase goes to Fifth Third and converts their money and then brings it back and gives it to me. So, you know, so that's how, you know, it's not a problem, it's not hard to do that. And everybody sometimes is so concerned about the best rates, and you want to get the best rates you possibly can in your conversion, but sometimes you can go to such an extreme just to save just a minimal amount of money. It's not really worth it. So, you know, if you have to, if it takes you like 10 hours to research and travel a long time to save $5, to me, I'm just go to my bank and get it, you
Yeah.
know.
Don't they have it on the campus as well, we can get it converted there?
I'm not sure.
We did last
Tony.
time.
Did they last time? Well, the only reason they did last time is because the missionary had already some cash that he did it himself and converted, yeah. So he might do that this time. I just haven't talked to Rob about that, where he'll just have like a couple $1,000s already converted, and then he can switch with you. That's no problem.
And what's the value of $1? Our dollar?
I don't remember.
Oh.
Yeah.
$1 currently is 101.6 Kenyan shillings.
Okay, 100 to 1. So the other thing about currency converting is don't convert any more than you have to, because you come home, you're gonna lose money.
Yeah, you lose a lot.
You're just gonna lose money. And the other thing about your bank cards and things like that, do not even think about using your debit card over there, and be very cautious about using your credit card. You're better off taking cash. I'm telling you, my bank wouldn't even allow me to use my debit card over there. They would cut that, I know, because it's Kenya. And I just recommend not doing that. Take a credit card for emergency purposes. In case you do have an emergency, you can use a credit card over there. I would probably just try to use cash. You're not, she's just spending an exorbitant amount of money, but I don't have to worry about that.
What about these credit cards you can buy with a certain set amount of money on?
I'm not
them?
real sure they're available, and that you could, I don't know if you can actually use those over there. I would be very
Would the
cautious.
bank know?
The bank
Your
might,
bank would know.
might, yes,
Might know.
might know. You gotta realize that, the bank would say, oh yeah, you can use them internationally, but then you go to Kenya and they won't accept them, you know what I'm saying? Because you can use them internationally, but certain countries are just kind of a little different, you really don't know, and sometimes you don't know until you get there. Okay, so, here's the other deal. And so, all of us know, and this is kind of like secret, don't say anything outside the room, when else they're listening, they can know. We're gonna be transporting a large amount of cash, okay? And so, we're gonna divvy that up. So we'll all carry a little bit of cash instead of a large amount of cash. So just so you know, I'm probably gonna come to you, or Tony, one of us will probably come to you and hand you an envelope. It's okay, it's not a drug traffic thing.
Might be.
And you just stick it in your, so you know where it's at, and you put it in your carry-on, and you'll have it. So, in certain areas, especially Kenya, there's not really a good way to transfer money, and it's like that most every place we've ever been. You just take the cash.
Is this like project money or something? We're
Yeah.
talking
This will be
For the,
some project money, money that goes to the ANU for our housing, all of that money, money for our safari, so on and so forth. So yes, and just so you know too, if it was just a little bit, I probably wouldn't say anything. But since it is a lot, so everybody knows that we are carrying some money.
We're carrying.
We just want to make sure you weren't buying a bunch of weapons or something.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you weren't buying a bunch of weapons or something over there, and shipping them back to the States.
Well, that's a thought, but it would pay for our trip.
Yes, it would.
And the deal is too, that I have a money belt that I will take with me. And so you just never know, especially in a place like that. So if you can do a money belt or something where you can have some place and have a few dollars in your other pocket, just in case, you don't ever want to pull out a bunch of money and go through it at a store or anything like that. Just be very sensible about what you do, and everybody be fine. But that's true no matter where you go in the United States. Even if you're going to Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis, you're not going to want to pull out $1,000 and start counting money out.
what cost
So,
that?
just use your head. Now Tony can do that because he's loaded.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if somebody asks, are you carrying for somebody else?
Are you what?
Carrying something for somebody else?
Well, you don't have to
Say
wait for
say no,
Say
because
no.
that's your money.
It's my money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to know that now. Just in
Well,
case.
You realize that it is
You don't
really
want-
our money.
Yeah.
So if I
Yes.
give you money,
We just
you don't
wanna be
have to worry,
honest.
you're not lying, because it is
Yeah,
our
it is our
money.
money.
You start sweating and
Yeah, don't sweat, you're not lying.
Scared shitty.
Okay, now, the other thing too, when you fill out your visa with some Tiffany, you are a tourist. You're not a terrorist, you're a tourist. You are not going to work for African Nazarene University.
No, we're going on a
Don't
safari.
ever say work, if they're when you cross over into Kenya and you're at immigration and they say, what are you doing here? You don't say, I'm working for, that's bad. Whether you're coming to the United States as a foreigner or going someplace else, you can't use the word work. You just say, you're just a tourist, that's all you are. And that's basically what you are. You're not there for profit,
On the visa website, though, it doesn't give you tourist to choose, it says visitor.
Visitors,
A visitor, yeah.
visitors the same as a tourist.
And where you're visiting.
And where you visit, and we'll have an address for you. Does it call for an address when you apply for the visa?
It's a good question.
We'll just give the college address.
Yeah, just give them African Nazarene.
We'll have to get on and get that address. So,
Technically.
Gotta agree.
visitor, yes, you're not there for business. Basically, all it's asking, are you there for business? If you're there for business purposes, there's only two you come in the United States, you're a tourist or you're here for business, and you're not here for business, you're just here for, even if you're coming to General Assembly, you're still a tourist, you know. Anything else like that before we go into the visas? Room assignments, we'll do the best that we can to get husbands and wives together. I can't guarantee that all husbands and wives will be together. Okay? I don't know.
So you can't share a package.
Sure.
You can't share.
I can guarantee you that Laura will be in with Steve because Steve's in charge of Laura.
And that's for the good of the group. Look, all the people who know us are nodding. Very wise, Tom, much needed.
Yes, I've got some wisdom. Not really. Laura, I'm so glad you're coming. You're a fabulous person. Yes, you and Darlene, we're just gonna stick you guys together.
We will be fine.
Yes. We got some Valium for you on the way there.
And that is well appreciated. And once again, something else you all love. Keep me away from the little bottles on the airplane.
Well, I would just tell you, if you're going to take one, you know, take at least 5, and that way you won't wake up. Okay, so anyway, anything else I can't think of? We'll go to the visa thing, and then we'll think, and then let me check and see what Rob had to say, then I will. So, Tiffany. And I've got to leave in about an hour or so, hour and a half, so we still got a little bit of time. So you want to do the visa, right? And just explain what we need to do. And if you need Tiffany to work through your own visa, she will. I don't think it's that difficult on the.
It's really not.
It's really
pretty
easy.
straightforward. I did reprint this if you lost yours or didn't get one before. It has the address on where to go. It's the same one from before, but I know some of you.
Sure, I'll take it, just in case.
What?
Do you know, can you do this on a cell phone? Because like I had trouble doing it on a cell phone. I don't have.
I would not. I would recommend doing it on a computer. We can help anybody do that. You already have one? Yeah, so they're pretty much, it's pretty much the same thing as I said last time. The website is super easy to go through. I did have, Tom had texted me, somebody was asking about glasses in your pictures. If you normally wear glasses, yes, you can wear your glasses in your picture. However, there cannot be any reflection off of your glasses when you take the picture. And you can't have any tinted glasses in the picture. I meant to print out, you know that sheet that has all the different pictures listed tonight? Okay, I'll try to find it and print it for you.
There was a lady on the pictures that had glasses on that they said were not appropriate. They called them, said they were too heavy or something.
Yeah, if you have super thick frames
Yeah.
that are gonna obstruct from like your facial features, those are a no-go. But I'm looking around and most of you, your frames aren't.
I think she.
I just went ahead and had mine without.
Yeah, you can, if you wanna be safe, just take them off.
Yeah.
It's really not, I mean, it's really not. The visas, the e-visas, every visa I've ever gotten, they're not as strict from other countries. They're not as strict as they are for your passports here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We got by with pictures that we took on Tom's phone for the Amazon. So, kind of use your own judgment.
You can go to Walgreens.
You can go to Walgreens. What's your Laura?
But if you,
You can't go to Walgreens if you're Laura.
no, that was CVS.
Oh, CVS.
I saw your
I don't even wanna know the rest of that story.
It's quite hilarious, but
If you
get this picture taken at like Walgreens, because that's where I was gonna go, passport picture. But don't you have to have that scanned into your computer? And that's my question here.
Yes, you have to have a digital photo to upload.
That's my question, and that's the only thing that was holding me up from doing this was, it says here that it has to be a JPEG or a PDF scan. I'm not sure I know how to get to that.
If you take a picture with your cell phone, JPEG, when you take your picture,
Yeah.
any picture on your phone you take is gonna be a JPEG.
Yeah, but what about
If
scanning
you-
your passport though?
you-
That's my
You
question.
cannot use a scanned
Yeah,
picture from your.
I know, I understand that, but it says here that your passport and a digital copy of your passport scanned as a JPEG or a PDF.
Just take it,
No. Okay, I know where your confusion is.
yeah.
To get the e-visa, you have to scan your passport and send them a copy of your passport. That's
Right.
what they want. That's fine. But then you have to have a separate standalone picture for the actual visa.
I get that, but does this have to be JPEG or PDF? That's my question.
Yes, it does. The
How-
website won't.
I don't know how to scan
But
JPEG.
I can help you with that. I can scan it here at the church and we can
Thank you.
get you email. Yeah, yeah, that's not a problem.
Anybody else, if you're online or whatever, if you really get into a pinch, don't know how to do it, go to Office Max, take your passport and say, I need this in a PDF. And they'll scan it, they'll send it to your email.
That's one
If
of the.
anybody needs a scan today, we have a printer that scans it to both JPEG and PDF. You can also, if you know how to finagle it, you can use your cell phone to take a picture of your passport if you get it without any shadow. It didn't say the
But I
size
mean,
on
no,
the.
it won't do it.
Oh, yeah, but you can
Yeah,
always
so-
compress it too, so that's why I'm here. So if you need help doing this, don't hesitate.
That's the only
like-
thing I need
Yeah.
help with is getting that.
We-
And we
I can help with that.
and we can probably
That's easy.
Scan any of them and email to
Yeah, if
you.
anybody has it today and you want a scanned
Yes.
copy, I can do that for you real
Yeah.
quick. Has anybody applied for their visa yet? No? Okay. I was gonna have like snapshots for you, but we forgot Wesley's passport, so that won't work. I was gonna like walk you through it using his, but
If we have our passports with us today, but we don't have the picture yet, couldn't we just take a picture of
yeah,
ourselves?
we can
and-
take a picture here today. Yeah.
You can take a picture with my cell phone and
Yep.
Yeah, she could not.
That's-
The nice thing about it
Yep.
is, you got a lot of time, their turnaround is very fast, so if they reject it because of something, you're gonna have plenty of time to do it again.
Right.
I have an app on my phone that it specifically takes passport pictures.
There you go.
Oh, really?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because they're
funny.
very picky.
Well,
Because
they
I
have that.
refused to go to Walgreens and pay, because last time I did that, they didn't accept it, so.
Yeah, the visas, again, the visas are not as picky about your photo as they are when you get a passport.
Just make sure you don't have the same clothes on as your
Yeah,
passport
don't wear the
picture.
same
Yeah, if you have the same clothes on, you cannot take your picture today.
Is
We'll switch
like this
them.
kind of stuff on
It
the
doesn't.
shirt, okay?
No, because it's up higher.
It's from
The same-
Because
here.
it's just your face.
If you're wearing the same clothes that you wore when you had your passport done, you're not allowed to use the passport picture that's so many months old to do your visa. So they'll look at that and say, oh, this is the same picture he had when he did his passport. and they
10
don't
years ago.
reject it.
Yeah.
Oh, 9 years ago.
So and that's happened before, even somebody wearing the same clothes, well, I'm sorry, but if you
Exactly.
take another one with the same clothes, they don't know that. They just-
If you have the same clothes, we'll take you shopping real quick. We are important.
Like, you have black
That's not the greatest picture.
Yeah, we know.
I don't think I'm gonna have the same.
We'll just put one of these.
Not a very good picture.
Let me see mine.
So who all needs help doing their visas today? Who wants to do their visas today?
Oh, I can do it for
3,
you.
4, 5, 6.
Okay, super
I do
easy.
have Rob Moore just for a second.
Nope, it's fine.
And then we can do that.
If I can have your passports, I'm gonna go scan those real quick if you need a JPEG or a PDF.
Do you need my email, you need the email.
I have your email addresses from Tom.
Anything else we're gonna need this for?
Yes, Rob
I
Moore
can
is gonna be
scan
on
your,
just a second.
no, you can't, not if they're the same ones, yes.
And you want a picture, that other You want
No,
the
this
visa?
is brown.
Oh.
Do you have a Visa picture that's different than
Oh.
this picture?
We've got these pictures.
I don't think it has to be well for the.
Scan them.
This one has to
Scan
be
all of
colored.
those.
You're a world traveler.
Sure could be easy, but I think that one on your passport was
Well,
brown.
they're definitely different.
So we're gonna call Rob right now. And I'll get him on my phone, hopefully we can, you can ask him questions.
Do you need your scan? No.
Hey,
You got me.
how you doing? Sorry it took us so long.
We're doing good. Let me see if I can
Turn your volume up.
put the volume up. There we go.
Okay, mine's up all the way.
Okay, awesome.
I'm gonna get back here closer to the phone.
You want to put it right here?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it right here. So
Oh,
you can
right.
see our
No,
group
you
now.
can see- Yeah, you, well, it's right there.
Nice.
Yeah, it won't stay.
Can you still hear us? See it?
Hold that. Okay. Can you hear me?
Are you there? Hello.
Hey, okay. Well, we got our people here, and I think if we were quiet enough that they can hear. Can you hear Wes?
Yes.
Him? Okay, everybody can hear. Turn around so you can see people. He doesn't need to see me. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Is he? No, you're gonna.
There
It's
was.
only vertical. Oh, okay. I probably have mine thing.
We'll look sideways.
There you
Yeah,
go.
go straight up, go straight.
Straight up. Okay, so Rob, tell us about the safari. I know you emailed me, but go ahead and share that information.
I just went on the same safari that they're proposing for you. Incredible experience. I've been several years back. It's been a long time since I've been to Amboseli. It overlooks Mount Kilimanjaro, and I had the opportunity to hike Kilimanjaro in 2016, I think. But to see it from afar, really beautiful experience. The safari camp that they are proposing, the safari company that we would work with, has this 4-story stairway that goes all the way up to the top of one of their buildings, and you get to overlook the Amboseli Game Park, and then in the background see Kilimanjaro, as long as there's not clouds, of course, and had some incredible pictures. I was able to take lots and lots of elephants. Not sure I've ever seen it in my 10 years on the field. I'm not sure I've ever seen as many elephants as we saw in that one opportunity there. It was as if they all were having a huge conference, and then all of a sudden something ticked them off, and they all of the separate groups went in separate directions. They were all, with the babies. All the babies were inside the mama's group, basically, and they were trumpeting, loud trumpeting. And very, very incredible. We go maybe a kilometer or two away. There is a Papa lion there. So I don't know if he was the one that ticked them off, but very incredible experience. It is $500 versus $100, so you have to, weigh that piece out. But it is a chance of a lifetime. When you go to the one-day safari, you're going to see animals, but they're going to be in a lot smaller quantities. So it's not that I would want to discourage that. But the big safari, major, usually quantities of animal, lots and lots of different types of animals.
Okay,
So
Rob.
really, that's something you'd have to just choose.
Yeah, Rob, we've already decided on for the large safari. So
Okay, good.
How about
Okay,
hot
sorry.
air balloon?
Hot air balloon, I haven't seen that done as much in Amboseli, but let me check on that, okay? I'll ask the woman that we work with here. I'll ask her if that's done there in Amboseli. I didn't see it being done the day we were there in the park. And usually it's a sunrise type of an event. And,
Right.
so we'll just have to find out if they offer it and where they offer it there in Amboseli.
Okay. Well, can you tell us about the facilities at ANU, the sleeping arrangements?
Yeah, so we have three bedroom apartments. These 3-bedroom apartments, we can put in each of the bedrooms a variety of beds, whether we do bunk beds or we do just single beds in them. You're the only group that's there at the time, so we've got these 3-bedroom places. We can put a couple beds in each of the rooms and use all of them. For the couples, our rooms are a single bedroom, small apartment that usually our volunteers would stay in. Like we have a volunteer that's here from Oklahoma area. And so he's staying in this one apartment. The single apartments have basically apartment size utilities in them and a coffee machine, because that's all important, right? Small fridge. The big apartments, the 3 apartments that most of you would be staying in, those have a full kitchen, a full living room area to it. They're on the outside of these 3 apartments is what I call like a mother-in-law suite, or we basically stick people who snore really loud in those places, or maybe you have a CPAP machine and it bothers other people. Well, we'll stick you in that room. And it has its own bathroom in there. It has a shower in there. It's just a small place there. And we have 3 of those units that are also available. We provide all of your sheets, blanket, pillowcase. They do not, it's kind of European here, they do not provide washcloths. I have no idea why, but they just don't. So bring your puffball or your washcloth. We do have towels. And they'll, clean the place maybe once while you're there. They supply triple filtered water. So if you'll bring a container that you can fill with this water, you'll be great. Remember, you're at a mile high, and the sun, really will eat at you. So I'm seeing a gentleman in an orange hoodie there. You're going to want to wear your hat, or make sure you put sunscreen. All of you will want to put sunscreen on. Yes, there you go.
No.
Yeah. You'll just want to do that because the sun, literally, if I'm talking to a student, yeah, there you go. If I'm talking to a student outside, I have to think about standing out in the sun. All of my students have wonderful melanin in their skin, and so they're not affected by sun like I am.
I think it's sunburn.
And right now, I was at graduation, had my sleeves off, and have nice sun tan now. And on the top of my head, because the top of my head, I have a bald spot in it. So I just have to be very conscientious about that piece. So drinking water is what I'm trying to say because of the high altitude.
Be nice.
How about food arrangements and all that? 'Cause food.
Okay, have you made a decision on how you're going to do food, Tom?
Yes, what I told you before, I think we're just going to do a little bit of each. I think lunch with the kids, you said, the student body.
Yeah, yep.
So,
So that, do you think you'll do breakfast with one of the food services? And then so it really can vary. Basically, our best meal that the food service serves is breakfast.
Uh-huh.
So that would have eggs, that would have 2 types of meat, or at least 1 meat, sometimes pancakes, sometimes what we call mandazis, think of a donut. And they'll have wonderful Kenyan tea, and they'll have wonderful Kenyan coffee at that breakfast.
Okay,
there.
so the breakfast might be better to do with the student body, and then where would we eat lunch and dinner?
Okay, so that's actually, that would be a meal that you would do not with the student body. That's a different meal.
Right.
The lunch would be with the student body, and that meal you would just go through the line, and whatever the students are being served that day, you'll have cash on you and you'll pay for your lunch. That runs about $2 to $3 for lunch. That would include like a soda, some type of a starch, some type of a meat. Usually, if you're a vegetarian, there's lots of options for those who like veggies there. And then dinner can be either out at several places that are nearby, or they could be arranged meal where the food service would take care of that, and maybe you invite in one of our professors or one of our students. They give their testimony or whatever.
Okay, so
We don't have to worry about.
with our cost per diem,
Yes.
what is included? Because I was under the understanding that the meals would be somewhat included in that per diem price.
Sure. So most of the suggestions that I made to you are flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So we can really look at your budget and determine what we need. So maybe that's just between you and me, Tom.
Right, that's what I want to
Sitting
make sure.
down
That's
and
fine.
looking at what that looks like, okay? For those of you who are on the medical team, I just talked to Maureen, the person who's in charge of our clinic. She is so super excited about you guys coming. She has arranged for a 4 to 5 day event that actually is going to be right on campus. We try to minister to our community around us, and that includes our students on campus. So 2 of the days would be a medical event there on the campus doing wellness checkups for both faculty, staff, and students. And then 2 to 3 days would be off campus, but right outside the gates. Maureen has already set up with physicians and nurses that are there in the community and the county. They'll set up tents where people will come and line up, and I've seen it done, and it'll be fully packed usually each of those days, and especially the last day once everyone gets word that it's happening. We have a lot of those. So
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Excited about that. And okay, so that will be a minimal cost then, probably.
Yeah, there will be almost no cost to that piece. There might be, let's say they can't find a good sponsor. We have to have a tent, so that might be the cost.
Yeah, no
It's
problem.
renting a tent
Yeah.
or something. And I don't think importing drugs is something that you can do, but anything else you can think of, the little meters for glucose, any kind of Band-Aids, gauze, anything that you could find a sponsor. A lot of doctors' offices might be willing to give items, or local places might be willing to give items. Just bring anything you think you could use during those clinic days, because you'll
Yes.
see all kinds of things. And I think you have one physician that's with you.
We have one physician and a nurse practitioner, and
Okay.
along with nurses and a physical therapist, actually.
Okay, that's great. All of those pieces would be able to function under the guidance of, not guidance, but, working alongside the Kenyan people,
Right.
basically.
Mhm. That sounds wonderful.
And the county will approve all of those pieces too. So I don't know quite how all that works, and it may be a little, Kenya's, I don't know everything about what may be going on with it, but you'll figure it out.
Okay.
Many of you have gone on those kind of things before, and you have to be flexible,
What,
basically.
our doctor actually specializes in women's health, so you might want to tell your
Great.
coordinator that. She's a tremendous educator, really
Well,
a good educator.
and she would, if you have any kind of like a seminar type presentation that you can give, she's interested in any kind of thing where people could sit and learn
Right.
about those kind of things. So, a lecture of some sort. That's what Maureen was telling me. She said if they would speak on anything, please let me know, and we'll try to make that happen.
They will do that. That's not a problem. And let me see. And did you said that you were going to contact the safari camp? Did you do that yet and make arrangements for us?
Yes. So everything. So I just sent you the bid that she gave us, so you can look through that and see. It basically includes the driver. It includes the safari vehicle, so that can be a van that has a pop top to it, or
Right.
like a Range Rover, that kind of a thing. They'll drive us all the way to Amboseli. For the most part, the road's fairly good, except for maybe the last 20 kilometers. And just think of driving on a washboard the entire 20 kilometers.
Yes, I made that.
So that will be your only grief part of it, is driving those things. And what you would do is we'll get there probably about lunchtime, eat lunch there at the safari park.
What safari park is it?
It's Amboseli, and I sent you a link to the
Yes,
park,
but that's-
to the camp.
So that's
To the
different
camp.
than what we thought about what was it, the
Masai Mara. Yeah, so that just goes with what deals are happening to fit the budget. We needed to be able to go to that place. Both places are incredible. So you won't, you know, whether it's Amboseli or Masai Mara, you would see the same animals. You would see the same. The beauty of Amboseli is you get to see this massive, and I mean massive, Kilimanjaro in the background. So all of your pictures, if you get the right angle, will have this big mountain in the background. It's massive.
Right. And the price you gave me, if everything looked fine, that was what we talked about. So there should not be
Okay,
any
good.
problem there. That was what we budgeted.
Good.
$500 actually, if anybody, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
Right.
I think that was, when I read the email, I just read it, that was 500, right? Is that, you remember?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's fine, and no problem. And then accommodations there will be, couples can stay in the same facilities there?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they can. I look on the website, maybe give them the link for that safari park that I gave you,
Uh-huh.
and you can see the accommodations. Basically, what it is a tent with an attachment to it.
Right.
So they basically put a tent on top of a cement skid, and then the bathroom area is huge. So it has the one I stayed in was a shower, and then they had a toilet with a bidet next to it. Again, French background, right?
That's okay, I'm French.
you have the little the little tiny thing there. I think it was 2 sinks, I want to say, but it's very large units there. So they had a twin bed and they had a single bed in my place. So those who are going, and it's 2 guys, one would have the large bed and one would have the single bed in there.
Okay, all that sounds great, Rob. We've already talked about the currency. Will you? How will we exchange? Will you have some funds available that we can exchange on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I find that really works well for teens is if you can bring an ATM card that you make sure your bank knows you're using it. If you put that into an ATM machine, they'll charge you probably $2 to make the transfer, but you'll get the very best exchange rate using your card.
Okay.
If you can bring cash, if you bring cash, you need to bring the newest, cleanest, no wrinkles, marks on the bill. It needs to be hot off the press, $100 bill or other quantities. They won't take your ones. They won't probably take your 5s. They might take your 10s, your 20s, your 50s, and they'll just give you the best exchange rate, but it won't be as good as if you used your card. So when you get out of the airplane and you go through immigration, you get your luggage, go through customs, right out of that, there are a series of ATM machines that you can immediately exchange your cash for, or there are places there that you can then put your money down and exchange.
Okay.
That we find to be the best way to do it is right there on the spot. If you don't want to do it that way because you're coming in at say 11 o'clock at night and everyone's tired, we can always go to a mall the next day, and there are several places in which you can do that, both ATM machines and places that you can exchange money.
Sounds good. You just made me out a liar because I just told them not to take their ATM cards, but that'll be fine.
Yeah, sorry. That's just my experience in Kenya.
Okay.
We literally lived off of our ATM card in South Africa when we lived in.
And never had any trouble. Yeah.
No, never at all.
Okay.
How do you switch
Never,
back
never.
when you come home?
Well,
You give the money to them?
switching back when you come home. My experience, what I have always done is just take it to the bank and because I don't have very much, and they will just switch it. But I don't know if it's switchable. They're probably at the airport when you get there. You might be able to. Yeah.
There's usually a place there in the airport you can do it, but if it's tiny stuff, it's really probably not worth doing it.
Right.
Maybe talk to. I mean, we occasionally have U.S. cash, and if we can, exchange it out, we usually would exchange it for, maybe $1 for every 100 shillings. That's the
Right.
going rate now.
When I just mentioned when I have traveled abroad and bring money back, I bank at Chase. I don't know if every bank does this. I take the Chase, they deposit it just like they would American currency. I just fill out a deposit slip and it's immediately in my bank account.
So I get the fact with that you may want to exchange money, but what for? I mean, what are we gonna spend it on?
Souvenirs.
So how much money should we?
Oh
plan on
yeah.
exchanging?
Well, we'll have shopping, I'm sure too. You're gonna have malls that we go to, so it probably just depends on you what kind of souvenirs and things you would like.
And there could be a situation where you want to buy some snacks. You want to buy something more than we've provided
Donuts.
for.
Donuts.
You'll have that extra cash around to do that. Or you want to buy a student a cup of coffee or something, or a cup of tea, and you'll want to have some money. I would say probably between $50 and $100 if you're not buying souvenirs. If you're buying souvenirs, you might want a little bit more than that. Any restaurant that we go to, many times will take credit cards. So if it's not part of your deal, right? Then just know that. And stores will do the same. We may stop at a grocery store at the mall just for you to buy snacks there. They'll take a credit card often, or your ATM card. Just make sure that you tell your bank that you're using it there. Otherwise, then you're in trouble.
Discover over there?
I don't know about Discover. I know Visa, MasterCard often, but I have no idea. I don't think Discover is widely used. I never see it on anything here. Sorry about that.
So a lot of
What
money if
about
we want an elephant
electricity?
tusk.
Yeah.
Prepare to go to jail.
All right.
Hey, Rob,
Can you think of anything else, Rob,
Yeah,
that we may
he's
need
got
to
it.
know? And I got another question or two.
wall texture for
Did you
painting.
talk about electricity?
Yes, we did. You used the regular European adapters? Yes.
For the most part. If
Yeah.
you just look at Amazon.com, they'll
Right,
give you
they give it to you, right. I got, and we talked all about that. Other questions, did you say?
Texture of the walls. For
Oh, the texture of the walls for paint, is it, and they want to bring rollers and brushes?
Yeah, you do. Both of those. They're going to be smooth. They're going to be mostly like a brick wall that they put plaster on the outside. That's 90% of the work that you'll paint. There'll be another 5% that might be wood, and there might be 5% that's metal.
Okay,
For the most part, you're talking about stucco walls, basically.
okay. And then we're sending you and bringing money for additional projects, and I think I emailed you with that. And so I think we'll be able to keep everybody busy with that in mind. Anybody else have any? Did you have a question?
do you have samosas there?
Some what?
Samosas.
Oh,
Samosas.
most definitely.
You
Yeah,
do?
we have
Good.
samosas.
Yeah, they're good.
We have beef and we have veggies.
Hey, good way to go.
There you go.
Better than donuts.
Yeah, the mandazis. Mandazis are the donuts.
Anybody else?
I know,
I'll reach out to him separately.
Okay. Mike Herman's here with his wife Deborah, and he's gonna email you because he's gonna be doing, working on your water stuff, so. Yeah, all right. Anybody else have any questions for Rob?
Well, you go to Mexico and they're afraid to eat the food, but that's not gonna be that problem.
Yeah, they wanna know about the
Water.
concerns of eating the food.
Or water. Or water.
You know, the challenge with any kind of food is whether your body is whether you have experienced lots of trips or
Don't
not.
go too fast, it's gonna make you dizzy.
My experience living on the field for 10 years and traveling for 18 years is my body's pretty much a machine. My wife, on the other hand, who's done the same, she has a terrible, terrible time with the tummy. And so it really depends on you. If you have challenges when you travel abroad, then I would just be very, very, cautious about things and bring lots of snacks so that you can supplement. I'm a huge fan of several things. Number one is raw oatmeal. So bring about a Ziploc bag full of raw oatmeal. Take a small Ziploc bag, maybe a snack size, and keep it on your person continually. If you're not feeling well, you immediately put a pinch of oatmeal, raw oatmeal, in your mouth, and you just swallow it or chew it up. And this is an incredible sponge. Anything that you're not doing well, the other one that you can buy in a GNC or so, look for papaya enzymes. Papaya enzymes, I used to be able to get it at papaya enzymes. I used to be able to get it in like Walmart. And these are little chewable. Let me see if I can find it in my backpack. These are little chewable things that you would if you're. Oh yeah, my wife likes high end things. So this is this is the Now brand. I usually get the Walmart brand of that. But this is the thing that will
Show
help
it again. Show it again.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. One more time.
Papaya enzymes. Both enzymes.
So raw papaya is really good for you. This just takes it out of, the papaya. But both of these can help prepare your stomach. If for some reason you get the flu here, the clinic, which is part of your travel insurance that you'll buy, the clinic can wipe it out of you in seconds, they tell me. I've had several who have had full out flu, and they'll give them a drug that is for like chemo patients. Like if you're really bad, they're gonna knock it out. So this anti-nausea stuff is for chemo patients, and most people I've seen take this stuff are up and walking within an hour or two of that.
Wow.
Can we bring some of that home?
You can get a prescription.
Get a prescription. Okay.
Might there be some work to do in the library? I would be interested in that.
Definitely.
Most.
They would love you. Absolutely love you.
How about photography?
Photography.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, there's so much. There is so much to take pictures of here. It's not even funny.
Hey, I won't laugh.
What about the water? Because we knew that Mike was working on the water system, and that was really concerning for a lot of us.
Wastewater, not drinking.
Oh, okay, wastewater. I thought it was drinking water.
Oh, they have a
Oh, that
debate.
makes
You
a
don't
big
have
difference. We're happy
He said
There's
triple
no waste. You
filter.
have a debate.
What about the drinking water there?
You said it's triple.
Triple filter.
It's triple filtered.
So,
They have a
Can we
very
put
good
Marine Rock.
filtration system. It's a container that fills.
so we can drink. Now, what about out of the faucets brushing our teeth?
It's filtered once, but for those those who haven't traveled a lot, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I would use the filtered water.
So just make sure we all use all filtered water.
Dog is still in there.
I don't do that.
Hey, Rob, last time we went there, we went to a restaurant on a Sunday, and they said we need to be careful about eating the lettuce and that stuff, because the water in it.
Yep, that would be true. Anything that if you're not used to foods from afar, I would stay away from anything that you think would be rinsed off. So lettuces would be rinsed off, but things like cut up apples, probably maybe they would be. I'm thinking of like a banana. Oh, my wife is going to correct me here. Here we go. So any of you know, here, come on this way, my love. So most of you NEIers would know my wife. She's Cindy Shomo. If you remember Phil and Marion Shomo, they're long back. This is my wife. This is my wife, Cindy.
Hi, wife.
Hey, hi Cindy. Good to see everybody. Yeah.
She's had a few people write her and say, I'm coming. So she's excited about you NEIers coming to Kenya. So water-wise, you're going to be fine. Usually the foods that you get at most places we're going to take you, they're very hyper constant. They're used to travelers coming. Tourists coming, so usually you don't have a problem. And it is good advice not to order a salad, probably, most likely.
Sounds good. Anybody else? I think that's it, Rob.
Thank
We're
you.
excited. Let's give him a thank you, Rob. Hey, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I will give you a call, or we'll touch base next week, okay?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, and did you, I got a notice that our funds arrived at African Nazarene. Okay, all of them should be there now, yeah. Okay, and we'll bring the rest of the funds with us.
That sounds great.
All right, okay, Rob, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend.
Thanksgiving. Happy
Isn't that great?
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
That just, I want you to know
Thanks,
that
Matt.
he emailed me for the first time, like, when I told you he did.
Yeah.
So that's good. See,
Yeah.
God works it out. I was worried all the way here. And I shouldn't worry, should I?
No, trust.
You know,
I want to understand the food a little bit better.
Okay.
Just so we know. It sounded like he was saying we would be paying for our participation.
Well, let me talk to him, because that
Okay.
wasn't the original agreement. That's why
Okay.
I said that to him.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's it. So let's go ahead and say goodbye to our people online.